Hi there. So today I just wanted to come on here and first of all say I hope that you had a Merry Christmas and you just were enjoying all of your downtime with friends and family, eating lots of good snacks, and I know Nate and I sure had a great time. We got to spend time with both of our families. My brother came home from Germany, from the military. We got to go on like a family hike. We went to a couple of really cool restaurants that, we don't normally go to as a family. And we've just been hanging out and doing fun things together. But now it is the New Year's. So happy New Year's 2024. It's so great to be starting just a brand new year, fresh start, and it's going to be a great one. So I wanted to just kind of take a look back on 2023 and just remember all the great and amazing blessings that we shared together in the garden and other things. So anyway, I went back and kind of just like scrolled through all the movies, and I just made like a kind of a top 10 list of the different things that just initially stood out to me in my brain. And these are in no particular order, but I just kind of started from the beginning of 2023 and went back, and I was like, oh yeah, that was really cool. And that was really neat, and oh goodness, I had so much fun doing that, or whatever. I've enjoyed having this YouTube because it's really fun to like actually look back and remember everything. Like a lot of times you don't remember things, like things that were a pretty big deal. And so it's just been a lot of fun to just kind of have that like frozen in time, and I can go back and like recall on it. But anyway, the first one I have written down, and like I said, these are not in any particular order. I just kind of like scrolled through and picked a few things. And this list obviously is not, strictly to these 10 things. Like there's a lot of great things that happen, but I try to narrow it down to just 10. But the one thing I wrote first was chainsaw. So there was a company that reached out to me, gosh, I don't know, the movie said 11 months ago. So they reached out to me and they were like, hey, we really love your movies that you're doing, and we want to send you a free chainsaw, and you can pick between like 3 different colors, and one of the colors was pink. And so obviously I picked the pink one. And it's just a little tiny 6-inch bladed chainsaw, and I was like, all right, yeah, I'll take one. So they sent me one for free, and I loved it. I was able to clean up quite a bit of things in the back of my yard there. Normally things that I'd have to like call my husband out to cut down for me, and I was able to do it myself. I mean, it cut through probably logs or whatever, big sticks or whatever that were probably about that size. And it didn't go much bigger than that, but it probably could have. Came with a couple different batteries, some oil, an extra chain, and a cute little like case that it came in. I just wouldn't have thought to buy something like that for myself. I didn't even really know it existed. When you think of a chainsaw, I just think of like my husband's big like farm boss Husqvarna chainsaw. So I didn't know they carried something like for a smaller person. So that was such a huge blessing. And the cool thing about that is I didn't realize it because I didn't know how, this, hey, we'll send you something free thing works. But when people bought it using the code that they gave me, I racked up a bunch of money. And they were like, hey, you earned, I don't even know, it was like a few $100. And I was like, holy cow, like I didn't really feel right about taking that because it was like, you guys made that money for me. So anyway, I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna give those away. So I was able to give, I think 3. Nate, was I able to give 3 chainsaws away? 3, oh, no. Okay, hold on. I had enough money to get 2 chainsaws, and then like not quite enough to get a third. So I was just gonna get the 2 and then like use the other one for credit or whatever. And they said, we'll just let you have 3. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. And then they came back and they said, I talked to my boss and the owner of the company or whatever, and she couldn't believe that we were doing this, and she was so excited and said, oh, let's throw a fourth one in there. Right, Nate? Was it 4? So yeah, I was able to give away 4 free chainsaws to viewers, which was like so much fun. So anyway, that was just like a really fun experience. I got something for free. 4 of you guys got something for free. And a lot of you guys ended up buying a chainsaw for a discounted price. And I hope that you love them. Anyway, so yeah, that was a really fun thing. And the company was called Natity, I think. I don't even know if I pronounced that right. But anyway, all right. So moving on to number 2. Number 2, I wrote down geranium. So last fall, I was getting ready to just kind of clean all my pots up, clean the garden up and things like that. And I was looking at my geraniums that I planted in the ground. Normally I plant geraniums in pots, and I would sometimes bring them in for the winter or whatever. And I didn't that year for whatever reason. I just planted them in the ground for something different. And I thought, man, I really want to try to save those geraniums. So I Googled and I found this gal named Susan, and she has a YouTube program called Susan's in the Garden. And she made a movie on how to overwinter your geraniums upside down in paper bags. And I thought, I'm going to try this. So anyway, long story short, I did. I dug up my geraniums. I cleaned them all off. I followed out Susan's instructions. I put them in paper bags upside down over the winter. It was 6 weeks before the last frost date. I pulled them out of the bags, planted them up, gave them some water and fertilizer, and I thought they were dead. I was like, this is not gonna work. I'm not gonna have success with this. And sure enough, within a couple of weeks, they started getting a little bit more green, getting a little bit more growth on them, and it was just, again, such a fun experience. I had never tried that before, and I was just so pleasantly surprised at the outcome of how well they overwintered. How easy it was. It was free, no fuss. You don't have to water them all winter. And then they looked gorgeous. They were just beautiful all season long, spring, summer, fall, everything. And I actually ended up overwintering them again right now. They're in my basement right now, along with some more that I had bought in. And I remember Nate saying every morning when he'd come out to get his coffee, I had the geraniums that I overwintered up here on the deck. And every morning when he'd come out to get his coffee, when the sun kind of starts to pop up, it's like glowing up the sky. And those geraniums looked like they were glowing. They were just this really beautiful pink color, and they were just such a joy to have. And so that was a huge blessing this year, was just having such great success with my geraniums that I overwintered. So if you want to try that, I've got a couple movies on it. You can probably find them there in my list. But all right, so number 3, this is one I kind of forgot about, and I was like, oh yeah, and I'm so glad we did that. But my brother Karsten came over and he helped me put some steps in down in between our 2 sheds down there. And it was just kind of on a whim. I had told him kind of what my initial vision was back there. We found some just like materials that were laying around in the yard and used those up. I think we used some leftover retaining wall blocks. We used some just dead logs that were in the woods, and that was just really fun to watch him kind of create something out of nothing. He's really great at that. My brother Carson is super creative, and he can look at something and just come up with a really great idea on how to make it into something amazing without spending tons of money, using kind of what you already have. So a lot of times I'll tell him something like, okay, I want to use what I have, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that, and he'll come up with like the best idea with all your kind of stipulations, I guess. So anyway, that was a lot of fun. He helped me put those steps together, and then I was able to plant some ajuga in some. I gathered some moss to put around some, and they really ended up being some really neat steps back there. You kind of don't even know they're there until you kind of come up over the wall and then you see them and you're like, oh, this is really neat. Anyway, that was one of my favorite things that happened this past year as well. So number 4 was when my sister Coco seeded me some annuals for my garden. She seeds me annuals every year. Normally the Beacon Impatiens, and I've talked about this many times, but Beacon Impatiens I love because they don't get the downy mildew like regular Impatiens do in my garden. That's just my experience. So she seeded me those this year. She seeded me some Victoria Blue Salvia, and she also seeded me some red big begonias. Her husband helped us seed them. We got to use a new seed machine. She grew them on all winter for me and kept them, you know, alive and thriving. And then when they were ready to be planted out in my garden, she passed them off to me. So it was really fun to watch those seeds grow on in my garden. Some other seeds that she grew me this year were zinnias. I got the whirligig mix zinnias, and I got the Chantilly snapdragons. And I think that was it. Yeah, because I grew those as cut flowers with my Victoria Blue Salvia. But boy, that was a huge highlight this year, especially the zinnias. I had planted them on the hill over there on the side of my house, and I had no clue how they were gonna do. These whirligig zinnias on the tag, it says they get like, I think 4 to 5 feet tall. And I planted them on a straight up, super slopey hill. I didn't know if they were gonna need staked up, if they were gonna fall over. I had no clue. And I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna leave them. I watered them in and they did great. I think I maybe watered them like maybe one other time all season long, because they do get hit with the sprinkler from our grass sprinklers, so they didn't need too much water, but I didn't have to stake them. They did fine with just random cutting for bouquets or whatever, and so I was really excited to get those, and they looked beautiful. That's the most beautiful that hill has ever looked, is with those zinnias on it. I'm definitely going to get those this year as well. I did save some seeds for those, so I will try to get those in the ground as well, but just in case, I'll probably hopefully have my sister grow me some. Or I might be able to grow them myself, because Nate bought me this year for Christmas basically a stand with grow lights built into it. So I'm going to be putting that together soon and hopefully grow some seeds over the winter time. The next thing on my list is when my brother Michael came home this spring from Germany. He is, as I mentioned before, in the military, in the army, and he surprised us when he came home. I remember I was having just really stressful week at work, super stressful day. My mom called me up and she's like, hey Jess, there's a surprise for you here at the house. And she probably lives like 20 minutes away or so. And she's like, and I was like, okay, you know, I'll pick it up sometime, whenever. And she's like, no, if you knew what the surprise was, you would be in your car over at my house right now. I hopped in my car and I went over there and I was able to hang out with him that whole day, and then he was home for like a good week or so over Easter. We got to hang out with him for Easter, so that was awesome. And we got to hang out with him for another day where my brothers kind of just like threw the football around in the yard, and my mom made some good food, and we just hung out with each other before he had to leave that following day. We dropped him off at the airport and said goodbye to him, and now he's back again right now for Christmas. He was, we were able to spend Christmas with him. A couple of my brothers spent New Year's Eve with him last night, and so that was really awesome. He leaves again this Friday, so we'll say bye to him again. But anyway, that was just an awesome like surprise, I guess, of a blessing when my brother came home, because none of us knew he was coming home, and it was just really awesome to see him. I don't think we had seen him for a couple of years at that point. So anyway, so the next thing I have on my list is the Chipmunk Crossing sign. So some of you have met my brother Kenny, and he made me a sign 2 summers ago called Raccoon Alley. I have a raccoon that likes to come visit me in this certain section of my garden, and he likes to like dig up the rocks and the pathway and stuff like that. And so I was walking through there one day and I just like kind of on a whim called it Raccoon Alley and kind of rolled my eyes, and it just kind of stuck. So my brother Kenny made me a sign for Raccoon Alley. And this past year, I noticed that there was another little section where the chipmunks kept crossing. So they would kind of go in this little circle, they kind of collect their nuts, they run along the property line, they cross my little path, they have a hole that they dug that goes up into my grass, and then they kind of do this whole circle collecting their nuts and hiding them in this hole in my garden. So I kind of called it Chipmunk Crossing. And so my brother Kenny, he made me a sign that said Chipmunk Crossing, and I was able to put that up, and it was just a really fun like addition to the garden. I've learned through the years to not get too worked up about the critters in the garden. Like, I live up against the woods, there's really nothing I can do about it. I'm sharing my space with them. They don't know any better, you know? It's not like they have any sense about like, I'm gonna go dig up her rocks, or I'm gonna go hide the nuts in her garden, just living their lives just like I am. So I feel like having those signs kind of just makes light of it, and they're just so cute, and it kind of helps me to keep a positive attitude. It reminds me that I'm sharing my space with a bunch of forest critters, and it's gonna be okay. It's not the end of the world. So I've really enjoyed those signs that my brother made me. I have a couple more in mind that I think I want him to make me for this year. I'll have him make me one. I don't know, I'm thinking maybe like Snake Station or Lollipop Lane, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But anyway, so I really enjoyed getting that new Chipmunk Crossing edition sign from my sweet brother Kenny. So the next thing I have down is my Mr. Stacky and my grow bags that I got. So Nate had got me this cute little tower, I guess, and it's called Mr. Stacky, and I was able to plant a bunch of vegetables and herbs in it and keep it up here on my deck where the critters can't get to it. In my raised garden beds, I usually put vegetables out there and herbs and things like that. But every year the deer come in and eat them, the bunnies come in and eat them, and it's just kind of annoying, and I didn't feel like dealing with it this year. So that's where I put the cut flowers that my sister gave me and grew me. And then I tried to plant all of my vegetables and herbs up here on the deck, on the porch where the critters couldn't get to them. And a lot of them I had planted in that Mr. Stacky there that Nate bought me, and I wasn't sure how they were going to do because the little compartments that hold the dirt where the roots grow weren't that big. But either way, I tested a lot of different things in there. The herbs did great. I even planted tomatoes in there, and the tomatoes did wonderful. We were eating off of those cherry tomatoes and grape tomatoes all season long. So that was a lot of fun. I even planted beans in there, like green beans. What else did I put in there? Strawberries. So it really did great, and I'm excited to use it again this year. And it was a lot more fun kind of collecting vegetables and herbs from that, like right off my deck, instead of like going all the way down to find out that they had been nibbled on by whoever. Along with that were some potato bags that Nate bought me for my birthday, and I had never used those before, so I had called in my brother and sister-in-law because they have a beautiful garden. They're really, really great at growing vegetables. So they came over and they helped me plant up those potato bags, and that was a lot of fun too because they did so well. I may have harvested the sweet potatoes a little bit soon, but I also got them in a little bit late. Either way, they tasted amazing. I cut up some of them and made like a soup with them, and then some of them I just threw in the air fryer and used like an sweet potato fries or whatever. So that was a lot of fun to have my brother and sister-in-law come over with the kids and kind of show me how to plant them. And the sweet potato slips I used were ones that my brother actually grew himself. So he had went to the grocery store, bought some sweet potatoes, able to, get slips off of them, and had tons of leftover, and so he gave them to me. And I was actually really excited because I didn't know what I was gonna do with those bags that Nate bought me. And I thought, oh, I'll use those bags for that. So anyway, it was a fun excuse to see my family coming over and helping me do that, and also use the bags that Nate bought me and grow some produce that I had never grown before. So next up is, I wrote down Lollipop Lane, and I feel like one of you guys gave me that idea. Oh, Max is over here. You gotta see this. Max got a new toy there for Christmas, and he loves it. It's a little tunnel. Get him, bud. Hey, buddy. Are you having fun? Yeah. You having fun? He loves it. He got this from his grandma and grandpa, Nate's parents. We'll add this to the list, huh, bud? Should we add this to the 2023 blessings list? What do you think? Yeah. Back to Lollipop Lane. I believe one of you guys gave me that idea. I started calling this new garden bed that Nate and I put in 2023. I started calling it The Lane. And shortly after, I had planted some perennials and different things like that, and I thought it'd be really cool to grab some lollipop trees and kind of put those all along the lane. And one of you guys was like, you should call it Lollipop Lane, and I was like, that's an amazing idea. So that's what it's called, Lollipop Lane. But anyway, I have that on my list because that was something I have been wanting to put in pretty much since we bought our little property and built our house. I knew that eventually one day I wanted to kind of extend my gully garden and make it go all the way up towards the road for just a nice full sun spot, because a lot of the areas in my garden, especially in the gully, are part shade or full shade. And so I just wanted something that could just like have perennials and plants that could just bake in the sun all day and be just fine. And so finally this year, Nate actually had a friend that had some damage in his yard, and he was gonna buy some sod. He was talking to Nate about it, and he's like, yeah, sod is so expensive, blah blah blah. And Nate's like, let's go ahead and cut out our sod up on the line there and put that garden bed in this year. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have so many things going on, like I don't know if we have time or the energy to put that in this year. Like I was gonna wait at least till the end of the year, or maybe even this year, next year. And he's like, no, let's just do it. We can give the sod to my friend, and it will kind of kill two birds with one stone. And because a lot of times if I dig up sod, I will reuse it somewhere, and that was just way too much. Like there's no way I would have been able to use any of that sod. Like I don't know what we would have done with it. I probably would have just put it on like Facebook or something for free. But it was so cool because we got to dig it all out. We rented a sod cutter. We didn't dig it ourselves. We gave it to the friend. He was able to patch up his yard from some damage that was done, and we were able to put in a brand new garden bed. I got some perennials this year on a sale at a greenhouse in Zealand, and then I also got some really cool lollipop trees that I threw in there later in the year, and I'm just really excited to see how those plants come back this next year. You never know, it's all kind of trial and error, and you just learn as you go. So I'm really excited to learn how that area grows things up there. But so that was a really fun addition to our garden, was Lollipop Lane. Another cool thing that happened this year was I found out that you can have free mulch delivered to your house. For free. So my brother, Johnny, I was talking to him and he's like, yeah, we got some free mulch delivered. I'm like, whoa, free mulch? And he's like, yeah, there's this guy that cuts down trees, and instead of hauling all of the wood chips, to their shop, they like to find people who can use the wood chips and they'll drop them off for free. The only catch is they drop off like 15 yards of it at once. So you have to have like a spot for it and you gotta move it somewhere. And it's a lot of mulch to move. So anyway, that was really fun to get 15 yards of free wood chips dropped off at my house. We were able to like put it all in the back area of our woods where I'm cleaning it out. It was just driving me nuts trying to keep up with all the weeds, and there's no way I was gonna buy mulch for that area. So I was kind of racking my brain on what I was gonna do to suppress the weeds because I just couldn't keep up with it. And so that was such a blessing that my brother told us about this guy. I sent the guy a text and I said, thank you so much. And I sent him a picture of what we did. And he said, let me know when you need more. And I was like, okay, we'll just hold off on it for now, because Nate and I were kind of whooped after moving 15 yards of wood chips after all the other work we had did this year. So we're gonna wait a little bit. We'll probably get another load of it this year, but that was just a lot of fun to lay those free wood chips down, and they looked beautiful. It was like a natural looking color, and so that's kind of what I wanted back there. Was I didn't want to buy a bunch of bags or buy a bunch of yards of it and have it be a color. And I know you can buy natural, but this was like full on. I mean, there was even like branches still in it and leaves still in it, so it was like the most natural like you could ever get, and it looked really, really pretty back there. So that was a huge blessing. So we are to number 10, and I wrote down the bench that I was able to power wash and paint up and just kind of make look new again. I've got this bench down in my garden that I got for free. My mom's neighbor found it on the side of the road one day and gave it to my mom, and my mom didn't want it, so I kind of just like put it in her backyard until I moved out, got married and moved out, and then now it's in my yard. However, it looked like a pile of trash. Like it was just run down. The wood slats on it they're probably gonna need replaced sometime soon, and that's kind of what I was hoping to do, is just kind of replace the wood slats and do a whole huge makeover on it. So some of you guys suggested that I power wash it and paint it or stain it or something like that, and I thought that's a great idea. And my father-in-law actually has a power washer, so he graciously came over, dropped off the power washer at our house, showed us how to use it, and I was able to just power wash this guy and get all the junk off of it. It was crazy, like the before and after. I did like one side of it and just kind of split it straight down the middle, and you could see how much gunk was on it from the spot that I power washed and the spot that I didn't. And it would have been even more of a contrast if it wasn't all wet, so it kind of made it darker. But boy, it was just like kind of one shot through on that one side, and it already looked 100% better. So anyway, I was able to power wash the rest of it. I picked out some paint for it. I did kind of like a natural looking paint for the slats, and then I painted the cast iron black. I wish I would have done it a long time ago, to be honest. None of this funny business waiting around to replace all the wood slats. Like, I didn't even need to do that. I could have just power washed it and painted it a long time ago, and it would have looked a lot better sitting there in my garden. And I've actually sat on it a few times. I've never really enjoyed sitting on that bench, but after I power washed it, I actually went out there and I had some coffee on it a couple different times, and I've actually enjoyed sitting on the bench. So anyway, thank you guys so much for telling me about power washing it. I know it sounds so simple, but I didn't even think about that. Another cool thing, since we're talking about my father-in-law, is he bought us a push mower. It's really tiny, kind of skinny push mower, and it fits perfectly through my grass path in the gully. So Nate borrowed my father-in-law's push mower one day just to try to test it out, and he said it was a game changer. So my father-in-law went out and bought us the same mower, and now the pathway, Nate doesn't have to mow it with a weed whipper anymore, which is his least favorite job to do. And I can certainly mow it with the weed whipper, but the weed whipper we have is like pretty much bigger than me, and I can do a lot of heavy lifting for how small I am. I mean, I can move mulch, I can move rock, I can pretty much whatever I set my mind to, I can like try to do. But for some reason, just like the vibrations of this weed whipper like going through my path and trying to like hold it steady, it's just hard for me to do. So this mower that we have is just, it's a game changer. Like Nate said, it's just really awesome, and we've actually enjoyed mowing the path with it. So anyway, that's my top 10, and as I'm saying that, I'm thinking about all the other amazing things that happened this year that I can't talk about everything, but it's all there on the YouTube. It's all there in my movies, and I'm so grateful that I can go back and watch or just remind myself of all the great things that we were able to accomplish and do this year in the garden. Last but not least, we'll just throw an 11 in there, is I'm thankful for you guys. I'm so blessed to have you guys in my life. If you missed it a few months ago, I ended up like writing a little kind of fun song about you guys, and I called it Blessings, rightfully so, because boy, you guys have just been such a huge blessing in my life. I'm just out here trying to have fun in my garden and kind of document it and share it with people. And it's just so crazy to me that you guys tune in to watch and then like leaving all your wonderful comments and suggestions and just your experiences and expertise. It's just been really fun to kind of like share with each other, I guess. Like I share my experiences with you guys, and you guys share your experiences with me, and it's just been a lot of fun reading your stories, reading your encouragements, and kind of like sharing life together, I guess. It's just been a lot of fun. So thank you guys. You're truly blessings in my life, and I really hope that you have a great new year, a great 2024, and the garden season is approaching. It's gonna be here soon. Before you know it, we'll have to get out there and just start trucking away again. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you just have a wonderful start to your new year, and know that you are a blessing in my life, a blessing in my family's life, and you are loved. So we'll see you later. Bye. So we were so excited. Oh, my mom is shy today for the first day in her entire life. We were excited because we thought there was a big old rock in there.
Or maybe we were doing some type of a line or something.
Yeah, we weren't sure. Like, we're like, uh-oh, what is this? We dug this up, and it's got my little brother's initials in it, Johnny Price, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what this is. It's literally just like a piece of cement. I just called my brother Johnny. Okay, we have a question for you. I'm at Mom's and I'm working on a landscape, and we're over here on the side of the house, and I thought I ran into a rock, but we just dug this up.
I made that.
You made that?
Did he make that? Aww.
Oh my God.
That is so cool.
One time when I was like in 7th grade, I made a retaining wall right there.
Oh,
That from the down at the Ace Hardware. Nut bags.
oh my gosh. What a wonderful story.
Yes.
Obviously didn't work.
Yeah, but look, it's 2023 and like we just dug it up and me and Mom are having like a moment.
Aw, it's so precious.
And we're gonna save it. We're gonna put
it in my collection.
We're gonna put it in like a kind of a rock somewhere. So thank you.
It's not like a ancient Egyptian stone. It's someone's finger in concrete.
Your finger in concrete is worth 1,000,000 times more than Egyptian stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that?
Yeah.
So we're gonna do it good. All right, love you, bud. Thank you.
All right.
Love you,
Yep.
Johnny.
Bye.